Finally, thank you. We get there in the end. Chris has been around for about 4 or 5 months in the community. He has got a unique view on the world. His outlook is refreshing, to say the very least, but inspiring. So no matter where you are on your health journey, this is going to be a conversation that is going to make you realize that, well, Chris has got a most powerful mindset. So I'm going to hand over now to you. I'm going to stop sharing, Chris, and love to hear what you've got to say. I'm going to put you on speaker view so we can get you. And Chris is one of our members, and he's going to share his journey.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Why am I so thankful for this opportunity? And I believe I have a powerful story, and I'd love you to share it to anybody that you think will benefit from what I have to say. It is really my passion to get this message out. The what? Well, it's around health, and at the moment, in modern society, we have an explosion of chronic conditions, type 2 diabetes, Crohn's, autoimmune conditions, heart disease, and things like that. And I believe that we have a lot of power to do something about that for ourselves. So my story is this. I have worked for myself for the majority of my life, really. And, I did quite well in life. I've been in a few industries, a few businesses. I've been in the licensed trade. I was in the gaming industry as well, all cash businesses. But my height came when I had 4 pubs and a couple of clubs on the go. Quite a hectic lifestyle, quite a good lifestyle as well. And I thought that I was invincible. I thought I was Superman. And I never used to listen to people that used to say to me, look, if you keep going the way that you're going, you're going to make yourself ill. I never ever thought that I had to worry about anything like that, because that's what the doctor's there for, isn't it? If I could go and live my life the way that I wanted to live it, and when something broke, I'd go to the GP and he would fix me. Well, that time came for me almost 20 years ago now. And I'd been going to my GP for a number of years to be told that all the symptoms that I was experiencing in my life were all stress related. Now, I didn't really feel that stress. I had stress in my life, and I had, I was doing 16-hour days, but I didn't really feel that stressed. Anyway, 2002, so it's 20 years ago, I became very ill, and I got carted off to hospital. And that started a process for me of actually finding out what was wrong with me. And I got a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. Now, back then, it was quite shocking. It wasn't what I wanted to hear. And I did the very thing that the neurologist who delivered the news to me told me not to do. And that was, I visited Dr. Google and just read like the worst possible stories that you could ever hear about this condition. It was progressive, it was debilitating, I was going to be in a wheelchair, I would be bedbound, it would shorten my life. All of them messages that I was taking on board. And to be quite honest with you, it scared the bejesus out of me. I had a good life, for what I thought was a good life. I had 4 young children, a wife, and a life that I was happy. I was having several Caribbean holidays a year and such like. But this planted a seed in me, and I couldn't quite understand why the doctor could not cure me. You know, he told me that there was very powerful disease-modifying drugs available for me, and that he would be able to slow down this condition, and it probably wouldn't affect me for 20 years and stuff like that. And I set out starting to take disease-modifying drugs, which were very powerful, and I was injecting myself 3 times a week. But I just kept getting worse. You know, I was getting worse and worse and worse. My first wife, she, and you know, this is not, I don't feel any bad feeling here, but many people that are faced with the sort of condition that I have, this happens to them. My first wife decided that she didn't want to be married to someone who was ill and started divorce proceedings against me, which didn't help me, but I carried on getting worse and worse. And 5 years after my diagnosis of doing all the things that the doctors told me to do, I woke up one beautiful spring morning, and I looked out of my window of the room that I was renting, because I'd been excluded from the family home. And I decided that there was nothing really of value in my life anymore. And I went out and I had a serious attempt at taking my life. You know, I had nothing to live for. There was nothing left in my life. Life was only going to get worse. And I decided the way that I was going to end my life was by hurling myself under a lorry. The thing that saved me that day was compassion. And it wasn't compassion for me. It was compassion for the lorry driver, because I thought to myself, what is this action I'm about to do? What effect is it going to have on his life? And I hesitated, fortunately, and I bounced off the side of his vehicle. I hurt myself. I was quite bruised. I got carted off to hospital again, and I got put under the supervision of a psychiatrist who sectioned me for a while. I got released, and it was called Care in the Community, I believe, and I was under a mental health team. But I knew even then that I wanted to find a different way. I knew that I was never ever going to attempt to do that again, okay, because it was quite a shock to the system, and I felt an immense amount of guilt, because I started to think about why did I have so much compassion for the lorry driver, and I didn't have any compassion for the people that actually relied on me and loved me. You know, my children, of which I have 4, and there are other people in my life that I think they would have probably missed me. I don't know. And that set off, that sort of planted a seed in my mind about compassion for self. Okay. Anyway, I was under the supervision of Care in the Community, and that only lasted a fortnight for me, because I really wanted to find a different way. And I started to seek out alternative ways of dealing with situations. And I think at this point in what I'm about to say, I'd like to say to people that I am not encouraging anybody to not follow the advice of their health professional, okay? I am not, sometimes people get a bit confused with what I'm saying here, but I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. I am encouraging them to have a conversation with their health professional and seeing if there's a different way or a different approach to what their health condition is. But I started to seek out alternatives and started to learn about how the mind worked, started to learn how diet and how that affected our body, and also started to research and learn about exercise. In 2008, my neurologist at the time ordered an enhanced MRI scan for me where they put dye into you. And when we got the results of that, he then told me that I was now secondary progressive. There were no disease-modifying drugs available for me, and he would monitor me on a yearly basis. But he said, for your mental well-being, Chris, you've got to be prepared to be in a wheelchair by 2012, which was sort of 4 years away after the diagnosis. He said, because the way that this disease is progressing for you and the amount of active lesions you have in your brain, that is exactly where you're going to be. Okay. And he was right. I did start using that wheelchair more and more and more. And the time that I spent outside, I used a wheelchair. Every time I went for my yearly appointments, I used a wheelchair. I only really didn't use a wheelchair indoors when I used to wall walk and stuff like that. But like I said, I was researching diet, I was researching exercise, and I was researching how the mind worked. Started to change my diet. And I started to find some really positive stories out there on Google about the condition that I had. The last time that I saw my neurologist, which was 2017, I think it was, I walked into his surgery and he looked at me with shock on his face and went, "What drugs have I put you on? What drugs is it?" And I said, "Well, I'm not on any drugs, am I, doctor? Because you told me that there were no drugs that you could use to treat this condition." And he said, "But you look like you're getting better. What are you doing?" And I told him, I changed my diet, I exercise, and I use a mindfulness approach to help to heal my body. He completely dismissed that. He poo-pooed it. And I have to say, he doesn't see me anymore. My MS nurses see me, but I do not see him. Anyway, as you can probably hear, my wife has just come home now and taken me right off of my stride here. What I'm trying to put across in my talk and stuff like that is that the things that have occurred to me during my journey with this condition, and I will have it for the rest of my life, I will never be cured, but I have taken control of it. I have reversed symptoms that were affecting me. And it occurred to me that I did not catch multiple sclerosis. We catch a cold, we catch the flu, we catch COVID, but you don't catch MS, do you? You don't catch heart disease, you don't catch Crohn's, you don't catch type 2 diabetes. What you do is you create that within your body. So if you create it within your body, you can do things to help it and control it and reverse it. So the message that I'm trying to give out to as many people as I possibly can is to look at the choices that you are making in your life. Are they healthy choices? Are they not? Do you think that you're Superman like I used to think, and that nothing would ever happen to you and nothing would beat you? But the most important message that I'm getting over, and I'm going to come back to that word compassion, that planted a seed for me that day when I had compassion for the lorry driver. But I had never, ever had any compassion for me. I'd never loved myself. I'd never even really considered myself as important. Yeah. And I truly believe the most powerful thing that human beings possess is love. You know, love. They say love will conquer all, but I actually truly believe that. You know, if you practice self-love, I mean, we are taught that, you know, if you love yourself, that's selfish or that's sycophantic. It is not. You know, to consider yourself first is probably the best thing a human being can be, because to be the best version of you will make you best for everybody else around you. Yeah. That's my 15 minutes, which I was told to stick to. I'm sure I've missed many things out, as I normally do, because I'm a plug and play guy, but I hope you've enjoyed that. And please, 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 if you think this story will help someone you know, let them know, because we do have the power. Thank you very much for your time.